Hello. We all need a little help sometimes, and if you were here for the countdown timer, you know that I was struggling a little bit. Could have used some help from a friend at that time. But how do you get help from a software developer or a software community? In this case, how do you get help from Evidentia? That'll be our topic today on Evidentia Answers. Hello all, my name's Ed Thompson and I'm the developer of Evidentia. And this week on Evidentia Answers, we're going to take a look at all the different ways that you as a user can get help. This was an idea that I had a little while back to be able to introduce you to all the various communities and help features. I know that Evidentia it's a change in mindset. It's a different way of doing things because we're talking about evidence. And most of us got introduced to genealogy probably through tree chasing and tree building software. But Evidentia attempts to follow the proof standard established by, who was it? BSG. But it doesn't tell you that it's doing that because people get overwhelmed if you tell them to follow a standard. And I've had a lot of success once people start using it. They start doing things a more valuable way. They get more out of it. But I knew that it was a paradigm shift. It was a real change in how people do things. So I knew I had to have plenty of help available. So what I want to do over the next few minutes is to show you all the different ways that we have help available. So, the question comes today from the Evidentia community. Can I? How do I? Can Evidentia? Where? Why? How? So the first thing that I want to show you is the Evidentia Help Guide. Now, the Evidentia Help Guide you can actually get to from the Help menu in the program itself, and it pops up as HTML pages. What you see here, and it will be linked in the show notes, is a PDF version that you can download off the internet. And what it covers, and I'll make a distinction later, what it covers is the mechanics of the program. What happens on this screen? What is this button for? If I want to enter a citation, how do I do that? What screen do I need to go to? So that's the mechanics, the how-to. Now, a lot of people, nobody reads a help guide. It's really a user's guide, though, and there is a lot of valuable information in it, and I do try to keep it up to date as new features are added. So, yeah, the user guide. The second thing I want to show you, and this is on the website, on the training and support page, is a step-by-step guide. Now this is just available in HTML, although actually I have a PDF version to entice people to sign up for our newsletter. And what this does is this actually takes you through step-by-step, taking a source, entering it into Evidentia, cataloging claims, and analyzing your evidence. The three basic steps of using the program. And this is really meant for beginners, people who are just starting with the program, who need a little bit more guidance. And as you can see, it goes step by step, number by number, do this, do that, etc. And it helps people start to feel a lot more comfortable with the program. So those are the two main features in terms of documentation that are available to the beginners. Barbara Larson asks, do you have a version for the Mac? I'm assuming you don't mean a version of the user's guide, but a version of the program. And absolutely, yes, the Evidentia runs on a Mac or a PC or even in Linux. So, help. Step by step, we did that one. And it will actually show you a couple of sample reports. Okay. Next, we have the training and support page itself. And this went through a lot of changes over the summer. I always felt that the page was, well, the whole site was a little bit difficult to navigate, and it was beginning to age, so I wanted to redo it. I got some help with the redesign and made things a little more visually available. So currently on the website itself, and all these are in YouTube as well, as we'll see in a moment, there's a getting started video, and that is a long one, 52 minutes from a webinar that I did some time back that basically takes you through from beginning to end, from entering a source all the way through writing your conclusion and printing out some supports. And this is an excellent way to get started. Like I said, it is a little long. I did try and edit out a lot of the superfluous stuff, but I actually do it. I actually push the buttons and type in the data and show you how it's going to be done. So if you're I want to read it person, check out the step-by-step guide. If you're a visual person, you can check out the guide for beginners. Now, if you go below that, there's more content, and these are much shorter videos, 3 or 4 minute videos, where I take you through, again, step by step, but really focused on one thing at a time. There's a video on how to identify a source. There's a video on tagging your claims so you can turn information into evidence. Now, when I first started this video series, I had envisioned a whole set of videos, and for the longest time I had them outlined on the website itself with TBD next to the ones that I hadn't done yet. It turns out that was really confusing to people, so I took that out. The other thing is some of these reference the next video, and the next video never came out. What happened, I think it was 2.5 years ago that I started to do this, I got burned out. So I didn't have a way to crank these out quickly, and I just got a little bit, I got tired. I was focused for a long time on doing the live webinars, and I just kind of lost some steam. So a couple of new users kind of called me out on that this year, and that's why we started Evidentia Answers. And I'll talk more about that in just a bit. And then the other thing I started doing is some deep dive videos. So if you look above here, where there are 4 or 5 minute videos on how to do the pages, and certainly the beginner's guide takes you screen to screen, but to do a beginning to end video, you can't really focus on all the functionality available in a single page, because otherwise the 1 hour video would be a 3 hour video. So that's where I got the idea to provide these deep dive videos. And in the deep dive videos, I spend an hour talking about just one subject. Is it an hour all the time? No. I spend 30 to 60 minutes going in depth on kind of a single task within Evidentia. I answer some of the questions that have come up over the years. There are certain questions that everybody struggles with, so that they ended up being very common, and show you some of the features that you may or may not know were there, because you didn't have to have them. I was surprised, because it's the feature I'm most proud about. During deep dive video, I introduced in more depth the mini editor, which to me is like the #1 feature of the whole program. And some people didn't know about it. They didn't click it just to find out. Never be afraid to click. Never be afraid to try something out. You're not going to break your computer by trying out buttons. Okay, I'm off my soapbox. So that's the purpose of the deep dive videos. They're also meant to fill in some of the gaps that were in the short video series, especially, well, really all of them, but especially the catalog claims and the custom citation templates. People have been asking for years for how do I do custom citation templates, and even though I talk about it in the user guide, I think some people just needed to see it visually. And I was able to talk about some of the snafus that you can run into along the way. So, those are most of the video resources that are available for free to people who want to learn more about Evidentia. So, let's shift topics. These are, what we've talked about mostly are self-help tools, things that you can do on your own. You can watch the videos on your own. You can read the help content on your own. What I want to show you next is, well, what if you need a little bit of help from your friends? And your friends in this case being the Evidentia community. The first thing that I want to point you to is there is a Google group, remember when those were popular? Dedicated to Evidentia software. And there you can ask questions, make comments, ask for or make suggestions for new features. I don't personally, now the community is meant to answer some of these questions on their own, and they do. I try to answer as many questions as I can, but it shows much more investment in the community when kind of the members of the community beat me to the punch in answering the questions. And sometimes they have insights that I don't about alternate ways of attacking a particular problem. So, but the Google group is meant for the community. I don't log into the Google group, but I get a copy of every single post, and I will frequently respond to the post from my Gmail account instead of logging into the program. There was a problem for a while with not seeing the person who wrote the post would see the response, but it wouldn't get reposted. I think that problem has been solved. So if you want to post in the Google group, go ahead and join the Google group. It's not moderated. Be nice, play nice. So that's another way that you can get your questions answered or just interact with the Evidentia community. Next, well, I guess there's always the Google search, but next, I want to point to two Evidentia resources. The first is the Evidentia Page. Now, the Evidentia Page is not something most people interact with. It's a place where I give information about Evidentia and a place where I make announcements. So, for instance, you'll see postings about this show on the Evidentia page, and you'll see, in this case, at the top, you see a post about Thursday's genealogy software showcase, because Evidentia Software is the company, and the company produces genealogy research, a genealogy software showcase. So it's not inappropriate for me to post some of that content here. So that's one of the things you can do, is you can like that page, and you'll see announcements about various Evidentia events, about anything that gets announced on Evidentia. Now, the more valuable is the Facebook users group. And we have a very active community on the Facebook users group. This is where people do ask questions. And there are a few people on here who, while they're not official moderators, they're kind of Evidentia super users. And they're very quick to jump in and help out, which is ideal for this kind of user community. I do monitor this as well, and I do interact on the community. And sometimes I will make announcements on this site, but I try to keep this site very specific to Evidentia itself. So if you do see something that I post there that's off topic, it's probably a one-off. It's not something that I'm going to do often, because the people in this community are using the community exactly how they should. They're asking questions about how do I in this program. You see this post talking about a feature that they'd like to see and how they would use that feature if it was available. Here's one on would Evidentia run on, there was a problem with one user running on the Mac OS update. I actually owe him a response. So there's all sorts of questions on the Facebook users group, and I really encourage you to join that user group if you're not already a member. Now, it's very possible / probable that you are already a member, because that's where Evidentia Answers kind of first got announced, although it's also possible that you heard it from our newsletter. And I am aware that there are some people who just won't do Facebook on any account, and I respect that. I totally understand. My oldest son is one of those people. He divested himself of everything on Facebook, but it's still a very valuable community, so I try to make good use of it. Our home base used to be a Google Plus group, so I had a Facebook group and a Google Plus group, and Evidentia Software spent most of its time in the Google Plus group, and it was wonderful. But Google did away with Google Plus groups, so here we are, back to Facebook. And I'm hoping at some point that to simulcast Evidentia Answers on the users group and on YouTube at the same time, so that if you're not real big on going to YouTube, you don't have to. And I did discover, and it may be one of you, a few weeks back, that unless you have a Google account, whether it's a Gmail account or a YouTube account or what have you, you can't leave comments. And maybe you don't want to join the Google ecosystem. I totally understand that as well. So, I'm sorry. Google on my phone decided to speak up. Hold on one second. Yeah. So I must have said some magic words. Lewis says all the young people are leaving Facebook, leaving it for us old fogies. There's actually research to back that up, Lewis. A lot of the younger folk, who are really the ones who started Facebook, are moved to Snapchat. So, and if you look at the demographic for Facebook users, there's really been a shift to the older audience, which is one of the reasons I pay attention to that. Linda asks, what's the link for the Google group? Linda, that is in the description for the YouTube video. And you can also find it from our training and support page at the very top of the page. I don't remember the exact link for that. All right, so what else do we have? Well, we have this YouTube channel, and I'm just going to show you this. Now, there are multiple playlists on the YouTube channel, and this is the playlist for Evidentia Answers. And what I do for Evidentia Answers, you saw it at the beginning, you probably saw the countdown timer. Excuse me. What I do after the show is I edit out the countdown timer, and if there are any real production issues, or possibly if I needed to kind of emphasize a point or make correction, I'll edit that video. But in the process of editing that video, it no longer shows up under as a YouTube live video. It'll show up on this playlist. And that's fine. It means I lose these comments and some of the analytics for who watched the show live, but it provides a much better experience for the users who want to watch the show after the fact. And there are 3 playlists on the channel. There is the Evidentia Answers playlist. There's the Deep Dive playlist, which I referenced before from the website. The Getting Started with Evidentia, that's the 1 hour plus the little 5-minute segments. And then there's some previews, which are really meant to be teasers for people who don't know much about Evidentia. And if we come up with new formats to provide information about Evidentia, they will show up on these channels as well. So I'm going to make my pitch. Please subscribe to these videos. It gives me a sense. Right now, the big sense that I have here is from the interaction I see in the comments. That lets me know that people are interested. But I also look at the number of views after the fact and the number of subscriptions. I'm not trying to make any money off of these videos here, so it's not a monetization issue for me. But I enjoy doing this. I really do. But it also helps encourage me and inspire me if I see that it's something that people want. So if I'll show you one of these.
Hello.
Yeah, that's me.
Good morning, friends.
And you're still my friends. So you'll see a, oh, this is my private. Let me move to that on YouTube. Well, maybe I can't. You know the drill. In the bottom corner, there's a subscribe button. There's also a like button. And that lets me know which topics people found more interesting than others. So that's my pitch, please, but you don't have to. I know some people don't like to do that as well. But that is the place where all the videos that I do are being hosted, and I don't need to see my face down there. So where all the videos are being hosted, and I do try and edit them and make them look a little bit more professional and a little bit more cleaned up. All right, next, this is when it gets personal. So we have this self-help. We have I need a little help from my friends, and then this is Ed help. So I have this contact page from the website itself, and I'm actually going to show you kind of the process that this goes through. So across the top are the groups that I just mentioned, the community groups. And then you fill out this page to let me know what the issue is. Some people use it for feature requests or ideas, which now's the time to do that because I'm actively working on the next version. And what happens when you submit this is it goes to my customer support page, and I use a tool called Help Scout. And Help Scout helps me. In the old days, I would get an email, and then I'd say I need to get back to that, and then I'd have to search through all my archived emails to get back to that, or heaven forbid I would forget about it. And so this kind of keeps me honest. It keeps track of which customers have asked questions, what my response was, and I try not to close it until I know that whatever problem they're having is resolved. So what happens is it comes here, and I got a little bit of information about the person who sent it, but for the most part, it's just, I think the questionnaire was just test. Yeah, oh, there it is, message, help. There's just something, I wanted to send something here so that I could demonstrate it without breaking anyone's privacy, showing you who else had asked what kind of questions. This is where requests for, hey, I lost my license key shows up. I hope to have that automated in the future. But so what happens is this ends up here, and if I log into here, and I try to do that daily, this is what I see, and I work through the queue as quickly as possible. But I do also, and I'll just show you, oops, wrong screen, hold on. So I do also, where is it? Oh, it must not have been sent yet. I do also get an email from Help Scout. And a lot of times I'll respond directly from my email. So where it gets weird, and I kind of talked about this earlier with the Google groups, and it just came to me. Where it gets weird when I respond is when I respond from my cell phone. Sometimes when I respond from my cell phone, for some reason it doesn't go here or doesn't get posted in the Google groups. Which brings me to another point. If you find my answers short but complete, please don't think I'm trying to blow you off or being terse on purpose. I am not a good typer, and especially on a cell phone, my fingers are just too big. So I try to be as concise as possible. Now, if in being concise, I'm not answering your question, number one, assume best intentions, but number two, let me know, because my goal is to give you a complete answer to your question. And don't be afraid of asking follow-up questions. Believe me, my sisters give me a hard time all the time about how I respond to text messages and emails. I think I'm being efficient. They think I'm being cryptic. So you wouldn't be alone. But my intent is to be friendly and to give you an answer that really takes you to the next step. So don't be offended if my answer is short. Don't be offended if it's incomplete. That wasn't my goal. I just, sometimes you get your head in something so much you think something's obvious. And I should know better as a entrepreneur. But I'm also a very technical person, and some of you have technical spouses. You know what I'm talking about. So that's the help. So my last pitch, there is another resource as I wrap up, and that is the book, The Evidentia Companion. And the Evidentia Companion was something that I wrote a couple years ago. I actually wrote it for version 2 and then updated it when version 3 came out. Now, what's the difference between this and the user's guide? I didn't feel good about writing a book if I didn't feel the user's guide was complete. And some people still think it's not, and I'm sorry for that. That's not my intent either. But the user's guide, as I mentioned before, focuses on the mechanics of the program. Here's how I interact with this page. Here's how I interact with that page. The Evidentia Companion focuses on the process of using Evidentia. Here's how and why you want to cite your sources, and here's how to cite them most efficiently, and here's how others are going to use that information. Here's how and why, after you cite your sources, you want to catalog your claims, because that's going to give you access to this report and that report and that report. And then in the second half of the book, I actually show you how to interact with, and actually I need to look at my own table of contents, that's the book, to remind me. The second half is about, so how do I use Evidentia if I use Roots Magic? How do I use Evidentia if I use Legacy Family Tree? How do I use Evidentia? These books just came in. How do I use Evidentia if I am a family search user? So the second half of the book moves past process to how you would integrate using Evidentia into the flow of working with these other programs. Now, Evidentia is not integrated directly with those programs, but there are ways that you can get the data from those programs in Evidentia and from Evidentia into those programs. Not sources. I'm sorry. And I have a whole blog post on why the problem with GEDCOM files and the problem with sources and importing sources into another program. In the future, I hope to I have established some relationships with some of the authors of some of these other programs, and I hope to partner with them as soon as the next version of Evidentia comes out and start to do some stuff. But I'm talking about future, and I don't want to do that because I don't want to make promises I can't keep later. But when we talk about, why should I read the book? Why are you making me pay for a book? so that I know how to use your program. The user's guide helps you know how to use the program. Certainly there are a lot of free resources online that I've showed you. We'll show you some of the process about using the program. The Evidentia Companion was meant to document the process and to bring together information on how you use it with all these other programs. And right now, everything on the website is discounted 20% and free shipping. And if you haven't purchased Evidentia yet, I will emphasize that everyone who purchases Evidentia in 2020, and I didn't announce this until November, so a lot of people who had purchased it in January were very happy. Whoever purchases, all people who bought between January 1st, 2020 going forward will be upgraded to the next version of Evidentia, the next major version of Evidentia, Evidentia 4, for free. So, if you were holding back because you heard about Evidentia 4, then you don't have to, because it's going to be very easy to move from one to the other, and you're promised the upgrade from this point forward. I guess while I'm here, I'll point out one other product, and I'm not trying to make this the home shopping channel, and that is the Evidentia Quick Start Guide. The Quick Start Guide summarizes the main 3 steps of working with the program on a 4-page laminated Quick Start Guide. You've seen them before. And the purpose is to have quick access to how to use the program and why you do certain things in the program. Everything in the Quick Start Guide, I try to be transparent about this, everything in the Quick Start Guide is also covered in more detail in the Evidentia Companion. But some people will buy both because they want the easy guide right in front of them after they read the book. So that is discounted as well. The book is available in downloadable format or in hard copy format, as I mentioned. The Quick Start Guide is only available as a physical laminated guide at this time. I might change that in the future. People have asked for a PDF version. I have trouble making sense of that because of because of what it's meant to be, which is something right in front of your face. But that's another way that you can get access to help, and it is also on sale. All right, so let me get off my Home Shopping Network post, and let me ask if there are any questions. Ruth tried to copy the link to the Google group. Hopefully, Linda, you've seen a couple different ways to get to that link. Lewis, my spouse has a spouse as a technical person, so I know what you're talking about. I know you do, Lewis. And our heads are down, and we talk to Techie. So, are there any other questions? I'm looking in the Deborah writes, my spouse and I both have that problem. There's a viewer of the Genealogy software showcase who also who also has technical spouses. So, Irene, how long does it take for the free download? It should be almost immediately. Well, obviously it depends on your internet connection. If you're talking about, there is a free Quick Start Guide. Let me see if I can find that. So if you if you sign up for the free trial, you should get an email immediately or almost immediately with your link to download the program. And by the way, the free trial is the same as the full version. The only difference is it expires after, I think I say 14 days, and I think I never changed it from 30. So a little extra bonus if you want to try it out. But you should get that link immediately. And if you're not, go to the contact page and let me know, and I'll send it directly to you. And you'll actually get a link to the Mac version, to the Windows version, and to the Linux version. So I got the email about my account, but not the download, about an hour ago. Okay, Irene, I will look at that as soon as we get off this broadcast, and make sure you get that link. Let's see, there was something else I was going to cover. No, I guess that's all. So, can you give a high-level summary of how Roots Magic and Evidentia interact? Real quickly, so Roots Magic, if you've already started working with it, you may want to import into Evidentia a list of subjects, the subjects that you'll be working with. That's all you can import coming into Evidentia. And again, the reason for that is that the GEDCOM format, which is the format used to exchange files, is not very conducive to exchanging source data. So that is the input from Roots Magic into Evidentia. I expect you probably know how to export a GEDCOM file from Roots Magic. That's what you would do. And then when you are done with a proof, you can export that data via a GEDCOM and import that data back into Roots Magic. And it will include all the facts that have, all the claims that you've made that have corresponding proofs. It will include your conclusions, and it will include your sources. And everything will be properly cited. Now, does it populate all the form fields that Roots Magic offers you for source data? No, it does not. It does free-form sources when it exports it in that direction. Does it send the source, the information, to the place you want it to go? You need to populate it and export it the right way to do that. And there's a little bit of trial and error because, as I said before, different programs expect information to be in different fields when they import that data. But there is the flexibility to export it in a variety of different formats in the GEDCOM. A lot of people bypass that process and simply open up a report in Evidentia, which you can do in PDF format, and they will copy and paste information so that it goes where they want it to go. Or they just take the PDF and attach it to that person in Evidentia. So there's different ways of doing it, and it depends on what works for you. And hopefully in the future there'll be tighter integration, but I don't want to make promises. John, can I get a digital copy of the Quick Start Guide? I live in Australia. Not yet. Let me just say that, not yet. Walt, I have Windows 10 x64. Should I choose the Windows or the Windows x32 file for a version 3 update? I always choose 64-bit solutions to 64-bit hardware. I only offer the x32 version for those people on older platforms. So the default Windows one is the 64-bit one. Let's see. Hopefully, Wilkes Pond, hopefully that answered your question. It's covered in a lot more detail in the Evidentia Companion. There's a whole chapter dedicated to how to do that. Any other questions? The Evidentia Answers is usually a little bit shorter. It's not usually a full hour, although I don't mind hanging around and answering questions as long as you have them. But I will make a plug for the Genealogy Software Showcase, only because if you're interested in genealogy software, that may be something that you want to consider. And let me just take you real quick if you don't mind this little sidebar. Um, so I started a new program simultaneously with this one. This one runs on Tuesdays. I have another live stream on Thursdays called the Genealogy Software Showcase. And if you go to genealogyshowcase.tech, not .com, I don't have the .com URL yet, although I am trying to get it. It'll tell you more about the showcase. But basically, what I wanted to do with the Genealogy Showcase, and Lewis, you might appreciate this. So I did some presentations on the genealogy cruise to Alaska a couple of years ago. The genealogy cruise offers a lot of different programs, and I offered to do some programs on other programs. Now, I had one program on Evidentia, naturally, but there are a lot of programs out there that people have either forgotten about or never knew about that I felt were underappreciated. And so I did this program on three of those software programs. And Lewis got me hooked up to join the cruise, and I had a good time doing those presentations. And I realized there's probably a lot of people out there who would appreciate some short videos on the other software solutions that are out there. So the format of the Genealogy Software Showcase either features not a deep dive, but a show off of a single program that they may not have known about or that they've wondered about, or a comparison between how different programs work. So the first episode was an episode about how 6 of the top genealogy tree building software programs do their thing. And I actually demonstrate through short videos how they do that, how they allow you to enter basic genealogy data so that you can build a tree. So I spent 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes on some of the longer ones on each program. It wasn't a deep dive. It was just, hey, I'm going to enter 3 generations of Thompsons and watch with me, and you'll kind of see how they handle dates, what the screens look like, etc. I try not to pass value judgments on the programs, because what works for me may not work for you, and what works for you might be something totally different for me. The second show, I did the same thing for importing GEDCOM data. This week's episode is going to be on a program called Gensmarts, which is a program that not many people have heard about, and not many people, maybe there's a lot of people who won't find it useful, but maybe it'll be the one thing that you've been looking for to help you with your program. And that's kind of the format of Genealogy Software Showcase, is spending an hour talking about genealogy software and showing you some of the programs that you may find valuable that you just didn't know that were there. It's not Evidentia specific. It is produced by Evidentia Software. I will eventually have an episode on Evidentia. Obviously, it's a software program out there that you may not have known about that you would find valuable. Well, okay, not the people on this show, but other people may find it that way. But, Lewis Kessler has a program out there called Beyond, and I want to do an episode of that at some point. He also has something that helps with DNA research. Now, I haven't gotten into it enough to be able to showcase that, but I want to showcase those. Sorry, it's Behold, not Beyond. Thanks, Lewis. I have other friends who do software development in the community who have programs that you may not have heard about that you'll find valuable. So I talk about the big boys, but I also talk about the small niche market programs. And we meet each week at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and all of those show are recorded. So I recommend you subscribe to our newsletter. The newsletter will keep you informed about what new episodes are going to be like, and I also try to send out monthly updates about what's new in the genealogy software community. if a program has a new update out there that you may want to consider, or even if it's just an update versus an upgrade. So basically, I'm trying to get something started talking about genealogy software. Trudy says, check out the online repository assistance. I think that's on my list of things to do. And I am always looking for new and interesting software included in that. But I don't want to spend a lot of time. This is the Evidentia Answers. But I did want to make the Evidentia community aware about this other program that you may find valuable. And if you can't watch live, if you're watching this in a recorded version after the fact, that also stores recorded versions after the fact. And that is on my other YouTube channel, Genealogy Software Showcase. Do I have a quick link to it here? Just quickly go there, and I do find some of the YouTube channels a little bit difficult to navigate, but you can see here the things I've uploaded, and you can watch the 1 hour video, or you can watch where I break it up and just show certain features on certain programs. So that's it on the Evidentia Software Showcase. Are there any other questions you may have? If we are on Evidentia's mailing list, are we on the GSS mailing list as well? Not automatically. And the reason for that is that I don't want to spam people. And you signed up for the Evidentia mailing list. You didn't sign up for me to send you information about software in general. So you do have to join that list separately so that I don't spam you. And that's if you're familiar with the privacy laws in the European Union, you'll understand that another reason why I didn't automatically put you on one for the other. I do once in a while cross post. So there's a post going out, actually I think tomorrow, to the Evidentia list about the Genealogy Software Showcase, but that's a one-off. I don't want to spam that list. Although what I'm realizing right now is I forgot to post a link for you to subscribe to that list if you wanted to, although there is a link to the page and to the show itself. So I hope that answers your question, Deborah. And I would love to have you subscribe to that list. And you can just go to the website, genealogyshowcase.tech. Anyone else? For the same reason, by the way, I don't post stuff from the Evidentia shows that I do on that list. I will occasionally send them advertisements, because Evidentia Software produces that show, and eventually I will do a show on Evidentia over on the showcase. I didn't want to do it right off the bat because I didn't want people to get the wrong idea about what the show was about. I wanted that to be an independent production. Does anyone else have any questions? I do have a slight delay in the chat, so you'll hear me talking after I ask for questions for that reason. I just don't want to shut anyone down. But if you do have questions after the show, hopefully I've shown you a lot of different ways that you can get that question answered. Two other tools I use that we might want to check out: FT Analyzer and Lost Cousins. Okay. Now, obviously, the other thing, people are very eager to see me showcase some of these other shows. Obviously, if I'm doing one show a week, it may be a few weeks before I can get to some of these suggested shows, but the interest that you show drives out the content. So, for instance, I'm using Gensmarts as the next showcase because somebody expressed, or several people expressed an interest in seeing me showcase that particular product. So it is a community-driven show, and I welcome these kind of suggestions. I'm writing it down now because I'm afraid I'm going to lose the chat. And so using the contact us or posting in either of the Facebook groups, and Genealogy Software Showcase has its own Facebook post as well, Facebook group as well. That's a better place to post these ideas because then these ideas are more permanent. But I have tried to write down the ones that you've suggested today. Well, I think that's it for today. And like I said, hopefully I've given you enough help resources, whether you are a self-help person or a community help person or need a little bit of personal attention. I'm more than glad to work with you when time is available. So I thank you very much and hope to see you next week. Next week's topic is for the Evidentia Answers is yet to be set. So if you have something that you'd like to see covered in Evidentia Showcase, please feel free to post in the Facebook group or send me contact information from our contact page.